Joining us right now, though, is a man I really haven't talked to in a long time. He is a national security correspondent, Washington Times, Rowan Scarborough. Hello, Rowan. How are you?
Hey, very good, Steve.
You know, maybe it's a little deja vu or something because tomorrow I have Donald Rumsfeld coming up here, and of course you wrote the book Rumsfeld's War, among others. So maybe there's some juxtapositioning going on there in the fate world. I don't know, but anyway, you wrote a piece the other day, and it's kind of shocking. We were told about, I think it was last week, the media was focusing on this report from the Pentagon. Everyone from the president on down weighed in on sexual assaults, on the increase, the numbers in the military. Yet you looked at something else, and you found that that's also a much faster growing problem.
Yeah, there's a number of troubling trends going on in this battle of the sexes inside the Pentagon. And I think the overview, Steve, is that for the last 20 years, we have been putting men and women in the military closer and closer together 24/7. And I think you could make the case that they have not prepared for this very well. And it is not to blame women victims or men victims, but when you do something like this, you're going to, just nature is going to take its course. And then in other cases, there's going to be some friction. There's going to be disputes. And we've gotten to the point now where the Pentagon is reporting, over 3,000 cases a year, 3,000 confirmed complaints of sexual harassment, which is about double what it was 10 years ago. And then alongside this, and what I reported on was that there's another troubling trend. The number of false complaints, unfounded complaints that are lodged against another service member are also up dramatically. In fact, they're up 34% in just the last 4 years among cases that were investigated and completed in a given year. And so this has all sorts of ramifications, too, about readiness of the force, how this affects unit cohesion and things like that. So I think it's important that the Washington Times reported the initial numbers that came out in the report about, complaints of sexual abuse are up, but then also false complaints are also up, and that's not a good trend.
No, and let me just put it in perspective, as far as the numbers from 09 to 012, the number of sexual abuse reports rose from 3,244 to 3,374, which is a 4% increase. Because people, they don't know what the numbers are, so that's why I'm giving you the numbers, not to say that they're little numbers, but it was a 4% increase. But during the same time period, as you point out, what the Pentagon refers to as unfounded allegations, as you allude to, rose from 331 to 444, which is a 35% increase.
Yes, and we would have to track this a little closer maybe and find people who were victims of this, but that's what we know were unfounded. How many times has someone made an allegation at the unit level where they find out that the charge wasn't true, but it never became an official, and people say that is happening also. So I think the bottom line to me, Steve, is that we've had this transformation of women in the military, putting them on ships, putting them in forward operating bases in isolated areas in Iraq and Afghanistan and other places in North Africa. We've put them together in boot camp, in the academies, and as I say, in ships and squadrons. Have we really prepared correctly for this? That's the question that the Pentagon needs to be asking itself when they look at these numbers. And guess what? We're about to go 4 or 5 steps farther. We are about to put women in direct ground combat. That's infantry, artillery, and special operations and armor. And that's going to bring them really, really close together. As we know, that when you're in the infantry and you deploy, you are together, foxhole, sleeping bag, forward operating base, the same barracks. And what's going to happen then? I mean, is this problem of sexual abuse going to now migrate into the combat arms and be a problem that has some effect on combat readiness? But that's what we're about to do. By May, but later this month, the services have to report to the Secretary of Defense how we plan to do this. how we plan to have women SEALs and women infantry.
Right.
And I go back to what I said at the beginning. The Pentagon needs to go back to square one, I believe, and look at how they've prepared the ranks for this. Look at the scandal that they had at the Air Force Training Command with instructors taking advantage of women recruits. And
it's Rowan, we're up against a hard break. This is fascinating stuff. We'll continue to read what you write about this, and we'll have you back. And I appreciate your time, sir.
Okay, Steve.
Thank you. Rowan Scarborough, ladies and gentlemen, national security correspondent for the Washington Times.